So we all know that smoking is harmful, but if you have to guess what's worse than smoking, what would it be? Some might say alcohol, and others might say drugs like these. And some would also say that the social ads that play before a movie in India with the most amazing graphics. If you've guessed that, apart from the social ad, you are correct. Why? We know that they are addictive, they cause deaths, they ruin families, and they even ruin your relationships and also affect your health. But there is something worse than smoking or something worse than all of these combined. Sadly, we all love it. Junk food. Yeah, you heard that right. And if you don't believe me, no problem, but believe them. So this study was done a few years ago and concluded that junk food is worse than smoking. Oh, fries are my favorite, by the way. And this doesn't mean that smoking is any better. But how can junk food be worse than smoking, right? I mean, it's just food, not a drug. So we've all grown up and been told what's good and what's bad for our bodies. Like drugs like these are bad and also illegal in most places. And these are bad but legally bad. Well, at least they mention it on the label. Because when it comes to junk food, we know that they are unhealthy. And you never really hear someone tell you that it's the best option for health. But why is it so bad? Because junk food is as addictive as drugs, and we've all experienced that. I mean, the junk food. And the reason they are so addictive is because of three major things. That's it. These are the three main ingredients that are present in junk food. And as simple as it sounds, these three ingredients are more deadly than you think. Because all junk food has them, and they are the reason why junk food is really tasty and the reason you crave for it more every time. And that's the reason junk food is addictive, because they simply play with these ingredients in the food. So let's take fries for example. It's always salty and deep fried, so super fatty. And if you have it with ketchup, then that has a lot of sugar in it. And in case you didn't know, ketchup has 1 teaspoon of sugar per 1 tablespoon of the product. And what's really interesting is that there is a concept that manufacturers use, and that is called bliss point. And bliss point is very simple. So let's take potato chip for example. The combination of salt, sugar and fat is so well balanced in this chip that if you change any one of the ingredient, it will become less enjoyable for consumption. That's why you cannot replicate these foods at home, because manufacturers know exactly what the bliss point is. In short, the right amount of salt, sugar and fat to make it tasty and addictive. So even if you love something like McDonald's fries, you cannot really replicate it. And that's why when you go to fast food restaurants, the taste every time is exactly the same, giving it that perfect taste that you love, and that's why we all keep going back to it. But I'm not just talking about fast food restaurants, I'm also talking about processed foods like potato chips, soda, cookies, candy, breakfast cereals, bars, French fries, burgers, pizzas, white flour, baked goods, and everything we love. And the reason it's bad or dangerous when it comes to health is for two major reasons. Number one is that they are toxic for the body. So these foods are not freshly cooked. They are prepared weeks and months before they even reach you. And that's why they have longer shelf lives. And to do that, they use a lot of preservatives, and they also contain chemicals and synthetic ingredients. Plus, they are really high in calories, and they are also prepared in high temperatures. In short, they have no nutritional value. They come out of a bag or a box, and they're just ready to eat, and they're also absorbed very quickly into the bloodstream. And that's why after eating food, you get the feeling of laziness, indigestion, discomfort, and most of the time you feel a little lethargic. And that's what gets me to reason number 2. Junk food is killing people. So according to the study, junk food causes around 11 million deaths per year, while tobacco consumption just causes around 8 million. One serving of junk or processed food can increase inflammation throughout the body, and not in days or years but in minutes. And it also contributes to type 2 diabetes, cancer and heart attack. And the high sugar and salt intake in junk food can increase your chances of a heart attack or a stroke if you consume it for years, which by the way are the diseases that kills the most amount of people in the world. And we know that refined carbohydrates is bad, but refined carbohydrates might not lead you to just being overweight and diabetic, but it can also cause mental illness and dementia. 22% of deaths that are caused by eating junk food affect the people below the age of 70. Wealthier countries are more and healthier as they consume a lot more meat and processed food than those living in the developing parts of the world. And let's say junk food didn't kill people, but they are still responsible for many problems that people are still living with. And what's really sad is that people are just accepting the fact that they're okay living being sick. So the question is, what do you do? Of course, you can't cut junk food out of your life, because that would be ridiculously difficult, and that's because we all love it and it's become a part of our lives. But you can do something simple, and that's what your grandmother has been telling you since ages. Eat your vegetables, grains, fruits, nuts and seeds. Or you can just simply follow the 80-20 principle. So 80% of the food that you eat should be healthy. So even if 20% of the food you eat is unhealthy, that should not harm you. but don't do it the other way around. Try to have more home cooked meals as possible, and if you don't have access to that, opt for a freshly cooked meal from a local restaurant, because that will still be much better than having food from a fast food restaurant. And where we go wrong in general is when people do substitution. When they increase the consumption of something, they decrease the consumption of another thing, and that affects the body in many ways. So whatever you do, just try to have good food. So remember that your body is like a car. You put good fuel in it and it will work amazingly. And if you don't, it's surely going to give you problems somewhere in the future. So even though you know that junk food is worse than smoking, they both are still harmful to the body, and they are easily preventable if you make the right decisions. So what is your favorite junk food? Let me know in the comments, because I've already told you mine. Till then, relax, be awesome, and eat less junk food. Rocher that.